Hold up.
All right, so how y'all doing today?
Good, real good.
Yo, this is an honor to get to interview you guys and talk. I listened to the song Faded about a million times already. I just had it on repeat. But before we jump into that, I want to let everybody know who I'm interviewing. I have Yechi on the line as well as Champion, and they're here talking about a new single that they have. It's called Faded. And before we get into Faded, I just want to talk about the basics. First of all, what brought you two together to do this song?
You wanna go?
Man, yeah, you can get that one.
All right. Well, we in about I think was it 2018? We
Yeah,
played on
it,
the same football team, Gulf Coast Gators, and that's pretty much how we knew each other. He was defense, I was offense. We were shooting the ball or passing the ball around, and we started talking about music and diving into a little bit of what we do. We found out we were both in the military, where we were stationed at, and then we eventually started linking up and getting some music together, different ideas together, what ideas or songs that we can do. And about a year ago, a little over a year ago, that's what kind of sparked this song. And then now it's completed, of course, today.
yeah. So we linked up. We linked up one day and just started messing around. He messed around with a little melody, and when I heard it, I'm like, "Yo, we gotta put that down." And then we kind of just kept on adding to it until we eventually came up with a full concept and idea. So yeah, it was pretty dope. It was probably this is my first time like actually co-producing with somebody too. So it was a really
Yeah.
good experience, kind of bouncing ideas off of him and whatnot. So
Okay, because I was listening to it. It sounds like you guys work well together. And I know, especially in the creative process, creative people, we are, um, when we have a vision, we are really like head on set and straight about getting that vision accomplished. What was that like as far as two people coming together with the vision? Was the chemistry there automatically or did it take some time?
I believe the chemistry is there. We automatic. I forgot that how the topic exactly came up, but the topic came up of faded relationship with God. Sometimes in life, things kind of push that away, and we just went from there. And as soon as we had the beat laid down and the concept idea, we went our own separate way to create our verses, and
Mhm.
then we came back together, and we made some suggestions. And I actually had a different verse for my second verse, and he suggested, "Hey, you should do this, do that." So I went ahead. I was thinking about it, trying to come up with another line, and I was like, to be completely honest, I was getting ready to call him. I was so close to call him, say, "Hey, I want to go right back to what I was doing before. I can't come up with nothing right now. Like I'm just over it. I'm on a brain freeze." But as soon as before that was even a thing to where I was gonna call him, that's when this next line came up, and I was able to actually get that down and actually like that line better. So it worked out.
That's cool.
yeah, and definitely musically too. Like as far as like music and the instrumentals go, like we were super. Um, I think we definitely brought out the best in each other instrumentally. I think between his producing, his ability on piano, and kind of us just coming together, like I think for sure, music and producing wise, like, and that's where it all starts with for me. Um, that music piece is essential, and yeah, we worked really well together when it came to coming up with that stuff.
Yeah, and you said something earlier, and I love that, because I believe that that's very necessary in the kingdom today. We're seeing more and more of it, but we don't see as much as we should. And that's just collaborating. And I think a lot of times people don't collaborate because there's this fear that we're asking a person to cancel who they are. And really what it is you come and be all that you are, I'll be all that I am, and then together we'll have this amazing sound or this amazing product. And I love that you guys were able to come together. Now, I know that Champion plays keys. Now, you're a drummer, right?
So I actually kind of do a little bit of everything. I'm mostly piano. That's where I started. My mom forced me to learn piano growing up. I hated her for it. So that's where I started. But
Okay.
yeah, I play keys. I play some guitar, play saxophone, and then I'm trying to learn drums. I've gotten there kind of a little bit, but that's kind of like next on my bucket list.
Okay. Because I saw your, I only asked because I saw the Zoom picture and I play drums as well. So it stood out immediately. I was like,
Oh yeah, I'm probably not as good as you. Let's just put it that way.
oh. So as a writer, I do not write songs, but I'm a script writer and do all these other things. I know personally that a lot of the content that I produce, it comes from personal experience. What was there ever a time that either of you felt like your relationship with Christ was faded or fading? Like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was something for me. Really, it was over a pretty extensive period of my time in college. Throughout my high school years is when I really started to know God and who Christ was,
Mm,
and I felt I had a big period of growth, and kind of in college it kind of tapered out, and I wouldn't it didn't really feel like I was going back, but I just didn't feel the growth that I had felt for so long, and that like really messed with me mentally. And so, in a sense, if I wasn't growing, I felt like I was going backwards, and that's it. It was for a long time. I don't know how to even describe it. Kind of like a fog just over me. Like I'm not really going anywhere. Like I want to go deeper. I want to go. I want to know more, but I feel like I haven't really been doing anything on that front. So
mm-hmm,
yeah, that's where it came from for me.
mm, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, like, I believe everybody has a situation like that because even especially now today, we're so focused on what we can see. We have so much stuff in front of us. Um, we kind of lose sight of what we can't see. And for me personally, throughout my life, when I joined the military, it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me because it forced me to have a close relationship with God and know God personally instead of relying on my parents. But all through our life, trials, tribulations, things that I thought should happen the way in my mind should happen didn't happen to a certain degree. I was kind of, like, God, what's going on? I thought this was the way, or this is what you said is going to happen. But I had to realize, though, that it's not really my will, it's God's will. And sure enough, though, He gave me the insight as far as the direction of my life is going to go. He gives us bits and pieces. He doesn't tell us everything, but he gives us bits and pieces so that we can hold on to that foundation, that truth, and knowing that everything's still going to be all right. So that kind of influenced my verse on that side, saying instead of getting caught up in our own feelings and what we want to do and what we see, get caught up in him, because some our feelings can hinder us. Like no matter how we feel, it can hinder the direction that we go because it feels good or it doesn't feel good. But really, no matter if it feels good or doesn't feel good, we should go in the direction that God leads us because there's a brighter, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
That's true. It's funny because when the first, because I've had this song on repeat, but the first time I actually listened to it, I was listening from the perspective and thinking, yes, of course, our relationship with Christ can be faded. But a lot of people in today's society, and I don't like that phrase, but I think it's appropriate here because the whole world is affected by this virus and all of this. Truly, in today's society, people might feel like God is fading from them. Like they might feel like I'm over here, I'm reading my word, I'm praying, I'm seeking direction, and I can't hear from you. And so it feels like God has left us in this situation. Some people feel like, okay, God, my relationship with you is fading, but you're the one that's leaving me. What can you say to that? What do you guys say to people who feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to be truthful with yourself, honestly. I was actually just thinking about a couple people this morning in my quiet time, to where you know I try to be a light in their life and show them who God is, and they face hurt, they face pain, which I mean these things do come in life, obviously, right?
Right.
Um, and then you end up you get into a slippery slope where you end up blaming God. But really, when it comes to some like our relationship with Him fading away, like He is constant. He is never changing. He
Yeah.
is the rock, right? And He's not the one moving anywhere. So you really have to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, look, like what I know who He is. What am I doing? And I think that's huge in the sense that, like, yeah, like you said, like if when you feel that slippage, when you feel that fading away, I can guarantee you 100% that it's not God leading you, right? He's the one who will see you off in the distance and start running towards you, like saying, "My son's back home." Like He will be that one to go and meet you where you are. We as humans, me, myself included, we are the ones that consistently try to go our own way, do our own thing, and it ends up being detrimental to us. And then on top of that, we go and say that it's God who's leaving us. Really, it's the other way around.
Yeah, and that's so true. And with me having 3 kids, uh, you get to see um, kind of how God deals with us, because how I deal with my kids is kind of in the same manner. And just to give an example, I was actually a couple weeks ago teaching my son how to ride a bike with no training wheels for the first time. And he was struggling, of course, as expected, learning how to ride a bike. But he will always look back at me just to see if I was there to hold him or catch him. I was like, don't look at me. Just keep on looking forward. Keep looking forward, because you're getting distracted. If you keep on looking back at me and you're thinking that I'm not going to be there to catch you, you're not going to continue or keep on moving forward so that you can actually pedal and balance yourself by yourself. So that right there is a perfect example of sometimes us thinking that God is not here. He's not here stabilizing us, but really He is. And because we're always worried about that, or because we think that He's gone, sometimes we either give up and we don't move at all because we think that we're going to fall, or we hinder ourselves and slow ourselves up in the development of what we should do. And also, to go beyond that, sometimes God will just be in front of us and cause us to go towards Him, so that we won't have that distraction of always constantly looking back, so we can move towards Him. So, for example, I was in front of my son and told him to come towards me, to start off pedaling and come towards me, so that he won't constantly look back but focus forward. So that's another perspective, or another thing that God can do. But for anybody who feels like God is fading, He's always there. He's not going to let things happen to you that will be detrimental to your life, or your righteousness, because bad things will happen. That's not a promise that it's not going to happen. But He will still see you through, and He will always still be there and pick you up. Even if you fall off that bike, you get scratched up, He'll still pick you up. He will nurse you back to health and get you back on it again.
That's really good, and it's very, very true. I love that you guys said that. Hey, another question. Earlier, you guys mentioned that it was 2018 when you guys actually connected, really, right? So, what sometimes as creative people, we meet someone and we know we want to work with them. Would you say that timing is everything as far as collaboration goes?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, for sure. Timing, timing, and time, really, right? Because obviously this is our full time job, right? So it's um, you know having the discipline, getting to the point where you're just like, yo, let's like actually do this. Like honestly, to be honest, like we should have been able to release this before now. It's been a long time in the making, and I'll take most of the blame on that. That one's on me. Um,
Nah,
but
either.
yeah, timing and then just time and part of me is like, yeah, we should have released it early. Part of me is glad that we were able to take the time to get this right, because I know Champions learned a lot. I've learned a lot since the time we started. And so I'm glad, but at the same time, just having the time to actually get together with somebody, because collaboration takes a little bit more time, right? Because you have to the communication and the coordination and all of that. So yeah.
Yeah, like you said, timing, me learning a lot more because I wouldn't really blame it on you. I would say even for me more so. And if we did do it early, it probably it probably wouldn't sound as good as now because I have definitely learned more. We mixed and mastered the song here. I graduated from Full Sail University just recently, so I have a lot more knowledge. Of course, not all the way there yet, but nonetheless, though, we have a better product than what we would have had if we did finish it right off the bat.
That's really important too, because I believe that in this season, although a lot have been canceled, there's a lot of opportunity for people to finish projects or even start or create or go back to their checklist and go, I never really got around to that. So let me sit down and do it. I know for me personally, in this space, I've been able to create some things that were kind of not really on the back burner, but just the timing wasn't right. I just didn't have the time to produce it. And so, when you guys with COVID-19 happening and producing this song and doing all of this, was that like did you see this as an opportunity to really press through opposition and get this done?
Not really. For me, it was more of searching because I was still in school at the time when all this stuff happened. So for my last class in August, we had to go through different songs or find a song that we can produce and mix and master to get a grade. And as I was searching, I looked at that song and I was like, hey, we have this song Faded. Yechi, I haven't heard this or we haven't collabed or did this thing and finished it yet. So let me hit him up real quick so we can actually get this thing started again. So that's kind of what it was for me. I was still kind of pushing in school, but it was kind of like, going back to something that was tucked away and you forgetting that was there, but now remembering.
Right.
Yeah. And
I think you're breaking up a little bit. I know he's traveling.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah,
we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry about that. No, yeah, and even even though COVID has freed up my time in a sense, like I've had a lot of other things come through as well that have that don't have to do with music. So like it has given me time, but then it's just taken my time, in other ways too. So I wish that I could have spent like a lot of this COVID time, making music and producing, but it hasn't worked out that way. But then again, just like Champion said, like he just got to a point where he's like, yo, we haven't finished this. And I'm like, yeah, we haven't finished this. Let's do it. And that's one thing that I need to get better at is just like, just make up your mind. And once you start something, let's finish it. I'm so bad with like starting ideas and starting concepts and then just like leaving them halfway done. So just having that attitude where it's like, you know what, COVID or not COVID, let's just get this thing done.
Yeah, I got about 100 of those where half ideas is laid down and haven't got back to it yet.
And I think it's a struggle for creative people because your brain never really stops. Because if you're a creative person, you're always creating. And I think sometimes you can be on a project and then you get excited about the new thing that popped in your head, and so you want to do that and you want to do everything at the same time, and it really doesn't work that way. But it's good that you have accountability, and I love when you can admit the weakness and where you are, and when you work. And this is why I think it's powerful when we come together and work together, because now you're whole, right? So now your product or now your ministry is whole, because where you lack, someone else has strength in that area. And accountability is really, obviously, we're seeing the fruit of it, something that we all need and something that's very necessary for our progress.
That's true.
Yeah.
For sure.
Here's something that I want to know. Is there a video? Is there more coming from you guys? I know this isn't a one-time collaboration.
Yeah, we have we are in the process and on the work of getting more and more traction with this thing. We have a video, it's more of a visual video, which Yechi has put together. He did a phenomenal job, and we're gonna release that pretty soon. But um, what do you think? What else you got, Yechi?
Yeah, and really more so kind of with the future is so we're both kind of individually planning on making some releases. So and Champion's actually going to help me with like the on the mixing and mastering side, but I know he has a bunch of things in the vault too. Kind of shared a couple of them with me, so they're dope. I'm excited for him to to get those released and do that. So I definitely think. I mean, obviously, we've made this connection. I think it'll be definitely a long term connection, in terms of like collaboration. Whether that's us, bouncing beats off of each other and stuff like that. I definitely think we formed this kind of friendship, for the long term. But yeah, there's more coming. It won't be so much more like joint releases, but I think that this kind of friendship partnership is here to stay.
Yeah, it definitely isn't going nowhere. You can't really pick something up and then just drop it. So it's gonna stay held, and we're gonna continue to do things and work together, whether it be in the background, behind the scenes, helping each other out, or another song. So we'll see what the future holds.
That's really good. I love to hear stuff like that. So, two more questions that I have for you that I like to ask everybody, especially creative people. Where do you see this? Not the typical where do you see yourself in 5 years going, but where do you see the ministry, your music ministry? Where do you see this going? And I'm not necessarily talking about the your typical award, which if that's where you see it, that's fine. But where do you see it going as far as the people? Where do you see this message? Who's your target audience? Who do you see this hitting and really influencing in the future?
I'll let you take that one first, champion.
All right. um, for me, I see my music as being a something that people can hold on to push themselves and champion life, overcoming life, because words have meaning, words are powerful, and they have a purpose. So that's why I even stuck with the name Champion, because God used one of my bishops. He prophesied saying that I would be a champion. So I kind of incorporate that. My last name being Harvey, meaning battle worthy, Champion Harvey, overcoming, being battle worthy. I believe was kind of fitting. So everything that I do is to help people champion life. So I believe and I see the music that I put out, which my EP, one of the songs "To Be Close," I did live at Covenant Community Church. Shout out to them. Um, a couple of individuals came up to me and said how they wanted to give their life over to Christ because of that song. And even though, whether the whole world hears that song or just a few minute amount of people hears that song, that right there makes it all worth it, because now they have been led to the kingdom, and now they know what the truth is and has solidified and given their life over to Christ. So even for those who have already given their life over to Christ, sometimes just like the song Faded, their relationship gets shaky. And just like with Peter, instead of, they'll keep their eyes on Jesus for a moment in time, but then when the waves start crashing, the thunder and the lightning starts going, their focus gets off focus, and they look at the waves and everything that's going around them, and then they start to sink. So the songs I create is to talk about real life, the things that are going on, but to make sure that they realize and know that God is still with them to strengthen them, and they have the power to champion anything that has come against them because of who God is and the power that He has given us. So that's my goal, and that's what I feel is the purpose of this ministry and what God has me. And even though I'm in the military, staying faithful in this because he's given me a vision and I'm just trying to be faithful to it.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing. All right, Yechi,
Mm.
say.
Yeah, honestly, that's really a loaded one. I think I'll have to temper, the things that I'll say. I have a million things in my head on that one, but I guess on the music side, um, one thing, because God is really, I didn't know how much of a calling that I had, in the music world, until probably 3, 4 years ago, towards the end of my college career.
Mhm.
He really placed a burning. I don't even know what to call it, but he placed something in me to where it's like, yo, this music thing that you're doing, like you need to do it. Like you need to keep doing it. You need to perfect your craft. You need to keep getting better. Because there's a lot of things in this world, in this aspect of culture in particular, and just in general, that you can touch and impact. I don't know what that looks like yet, but it's definitely something that I want to, I want to push the envelope. And I say push the envelope in the sense that, like, in the Christian world, in the Christian community, hip hop, um, music in general, I feel like we have become almost followers in a sense, and not the people that are out there pushing the envelope. I think you have like kind of, and I hate to compare music from like secular and Christian and whatnot. But I want, I guess I envision, a place where we as Christian creatives can be the ones that are out front running and out, being the standard when it comes to creativity
Yes.
and music and art and all of that. It is, um, it doesn't make sense to me how we have a relationship with the creator himself, the original creator himself, and we ourselves cannot emulate and draw off from him to to be creative, as well. And so I really want us as Christians to push the envelope on the creative side of things, to really tap in, not be the stereotypical, not follow what mainstream artists are doing, but end up setting the standard, and end up having people look to us in that aspect, not just to look to us, but to look to him through it. And I think really for me that's the one of the ultimate goals I feel like in my ministry, is to really obvious number one, to glorify God, but two, really bring creativity um, to the forefront of what we do as Christian creatives.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. That's something that I actually live by. That's one of my standards as far as creativity goes. I do believe that we as Christians should be at the forefront of creativity, especially serving the Almighty Creator Himself, Jesus. I think that's important. My last thing I like to end with is, what would you guys say? Because so many people talk about producing, right? And so many people, and I'm not just talking about music, but so many people talk about, you know, we can plan all day, we can speak all day, but it takes real faith not to talk about it, but to walk, to actually start putting your first foot forward and making steps. What do you say to the person who's trapped in fear, who is even looking at this pandemic and saying, there's no way I can create, there's no way I can be creative? What do you tell the person who might even feel like they're not as skilled or don't have the budget to create? How do you influence them to go forward after the things that's in their heart?
Oh, first I would say is faith without works is dead. You have to go out there. You gotta step out, and you don't want to be the guy with the talent burying it into the dirt. You want to go ahead and try to get an investment. Be wise about it, of course. Of course, in everything, you can't just jump out there. You have to plan, and of course, you talk with God first so that He can help you plan. But there's only so much planning that you can do. You have to eventually go ahead and execute that plan. So it's kind of in between. You gotta make sure you don't go too fast, depending on what guys say. But you gotta make sure you don't go too late. Hold on to it too late. So it's all about stepping out in faith. The worst that can happen is people saying no or don't like something that you do. That's the worst that can happen. And if somebody does critique you, you can grow from it. Critiquing is not as bad as everybody make it out to be. Of course, nobody wants to get the bubble burst, but in order for you to grow, in order for you to get better, you need somebody to be truthful to you, or even if somebody just out of their ill will doesn't like a certain aspect of what you do, you still, no matter what, can learn from that. There's always still going to be somebody that's going to like something, but you just have to push that fear to the side and just go and learn from it.
Yeah, for sure. Like um, like Nike says, just do it, right? That's just go out and and do something, right? I am a thinker. I think way too much. Sometimes you just need to go, put your head first, just jump into it and try doing something. Another thing, as far as limitations go, one of the quotes that I like the most is that scarcity, something to the effect that scarcity encourages creativity, right? I think you look at other people, and we obviously, me and Champion don't have all the equipment, all the mics and the gear that other people have. But once you learn to work with your limitations, that breeds creativity in and of itself. So don't look at your limitations as something to be scoffed at. Like a lot of people come up with really dope ideas from like basically the little that they have, right? Similar to them, barely having any loaves of bread, and God was able to do something, completely, amazing out of that. So look at the little that you have and do something with it, and watch God see it multiply and increase, for sure.
Indeed.
That's good. That's really good. I'm really truly inspired from you guys. I love the song. Love what you guys are doing. I pray that you guys keep it up, and I know you will. Can you tell us really quick where we can listen to the song, how we can purchase it, and how we can stay connected to the ministry?
Yeah, so it is out on all streaming services. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, it's on Google Play or whatever the other things that people listen to. Just look up "Faded" by Yechi. You'd see my artist profile out there somewhere. So "Faded" by Yechi featuring Champion, obviously, and yeah, it's everywhere. Hopefully, we'll get it up on YouTube soon as well.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for sitting down. Champ, I appreciate you, boss, for sitting down and talking with us. Champ is in the studio, guys. He's a professional. He's got a real mic and everything. I got to step my game up.
I'm not all the way there yet. I'm working my way.
Man, you got it. You got it. Man, I appreciate you guys sitting down with us. I really do feel like this is a great song. When I first heard it and when I saw you guys putting it out, I was praying. I said, Lord, I really want this to be good. Sometimes people put things out and it doesn't to you. And I was
Hey,
nervous.
man, I feel bad sometimes too because, like, yeah, I see like, hey, come listen to my song, and you listen to it. It's like, I kind of wish I did listen to that. And I was
Right. And then like me, I'm real honest, so I'm like, I got to interview these people. Jesus Christ, I hope it's good. But it
oh no,
it really did exceed my expectations, and it really did bless me. So if you're listening to this and watching this, I want you to go check out Faded. We'll put the links in the description where you can be connected to the song and also stay connected to the ministry. Fellas, thank you so much for talking to me today. I want to have you guys back on. I know right now we're in this in between as far as the podcast goes, but once we get back up and running for season 3, I'm going to bring you back on because I'm pretty sure Austin would love to talk to you guys as well. But in the meantime, thank y'all and stay blessed.
yeah, man. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no problem.